Hello, everybody. Good afternoon and welcome to our presentation. My name is Gabriela and I'm really excited to share with you our research on attitudes on working online and learning digital skills. This first slide serves as a bridge of understanding between the original Dutch model that has been created of the future work skills and then our English version that we translated ourselves, just so we know whenever we say, for example, information gathering skills, which exact skill we mean from the original model. Now, moving on to the actual research, the first step that we did was to have an interview with a very important key figure in the Future Work Skills project. And this person really helped us understand the structure of the model itself. This person really helped us focus our research on the most outer layer, which is the digital skills, as well as the mindset, which is the core of the model. It is interesting that this person pointed out that in some scenarios, it might be easier to first tackle the smaller problems, the problems that are easy to see and easy to measure, and to tackle those tasks and to improve those skills, and then move on to the more complex, to the more psychological and latent skills. So this is why we would leave the middle ring of the circle for our future research. Now you can see here our two main research questions, and simply said, the hypotheses state that people who rate themselves high on the digital skills would also have a positive attitude towards working online. That same group of people would also have a positive attitude on learning digital skills. How did we do that? Well, we devised a survey on Qualtrics, and we had a total of 42 separate questions for workers at the municipality to answer. And we use all of those different scales that you see on the screen. And I'm happy to say that most of those scales were also already validated for a Dutch sample. So that was really helpful for us. The first thing that we did when we had the data was to check how our reliability is doing. And here on this table, you can see the alpha, the Cronbach's alpha that we got from the data compared to the original papers that the Cronbach alpha is reported on. And you can see that the levels overall are satisfactory, and even in some places, they're higher than the original ones, which is really surprising to me, especially given the fact that so far we only have 63 completed questionnaires. Out of the 63 respondents, 2/3 were women, 1/3 was men. And you can see here a little summary of the other descriptive statistics. I'm really sad to say that we only got 11% of people who have a managerial position. And this means we didn't have nice and equal groups of managers and non-managers. So we couldn't really do a lot of quantitative analysis about this. But maybe this could be left for some future research as well. Now, moving on to the actual hypotheses. The first one, as you can see here, we established through a one-way ANOVA that it has been proven correct. You can see here that there is a huge difference in the mean scores of their attitude on online work between the people who rate themselves lower on the digital skills as opposed to the ones who rate themselves higher on the digital skills. You can see that the difference is 3.29 compared to 4.02, and the F statistics is significant. Similarly, the second hypothesis is also proven correct, with a little bit smaller difference within the means of the groups, but still the F statistic is correct, is significant. All right, so far so good. We had our questions answered, but let's dig deeper into the data. Let's see, because we keep talking about the perceived digital skills. And okay, we know that this is something that has been comprised of the 4 different scales that we already mentioned before. But what is more? What more can we say about this? This is why we did several multiple regressions with nested models to check out our 3 main variables and to see how they're doing compared to the demographics. I must say that all of the 9 models that you see here are actually statistically significant, so they all fit the data nicely, which is really good. However, in statistics, you know that it's important to do the most with the least. So that's why we're currently looking for the most optimal models here. And now let's start with the central variable, which is the perceived digital skills. Here you can see that when we add only the level of education, already 7.8% of the variance in the perceived digital skills is explained by the level of education alone. Adding age and gender, unfortunately, does not bring any significant changes to the F statistic. However, they do go up the variance up to 14%. Looking at the learning digital skill variable here, we already established through the ANOVA that the perception of digital skills is a very important predictor for the learning digital skills. So that's why we have this one in our basic model together with the level of education. And you can see already that 33% of the variance has been explained by this core model, which is great. Again, the age and gender do not add much and not at all significant differences to the story, but still together they amount to 36% of the variance explained. Now moving on to the attitude on online working. This one is a little bit different and very interesting because again, we have the basic model of the perceived digital skills and level of education as predictors that together have 39% of the variance from that variable explained. And when we add age, it jumps all the way to 43%, which is amazing. And also you can see here that the change in the F statistic is significant. So here we could conclude that age does play an important role in the attitude towards working online, as opposed to the attitude of learning new digital skills. Gender, again, sadly, has no significant effect overall. These were the main findings that we have. We have a lot of other small findings that we find fun and interesting, and we would love to discuss with you more if you have the time. But now, after looking at the main findings, we have several suggestions for the municipality on what could be improved in general, mostly for the well-being of the employees. As we already established, the level of education makes a huge difference. And maybe we could have some formal trainings for the employees where they not only gain knowledge, but they also gain some expertise and some new level of education that they could write for themselves and that they could have in general. And if their level of education is higher, then of course their perception of digital skills would probably increase as well, which is very interesting. And here is one of the small limitations of our research, indeed, that we are merely checking out the perceptions of digital skills. That's why we keep talking about perceptions. We did not actually measure the skill themselves. We only measured how people think they're doing on something, which has good parts and bad parts. Of course, we can never be certain if these people are really good enough at this that they're stating that they are. But on the other hand, we see that it is enough for them to be to think that they're good enough at something, so that the other two variables would also increase accordingly. And looking at the digital skills in general in the 4 different scales, we noticed that the lowest rated one is actually the media knowledge. So we would like to urge you to encourage the employees to use more and more the real intranet that they have, and to in this way, not only to up their skills in that area, but also maybe they could feel much more connected to their colleagues, which brings us to our final point and our final finding, which is that the more connected people feel online, the less workload they perceive in general. So this is also something very interesting and something to take into account for the future. I would like to thank you for the attention, and of course, thank you for the wonderful collaboration with the municipality. It was a huge pleasure for us to be able to work with you. And if you have any questions now, we're more than happy to answer them. If not, you can always email us and we can answer them there. Thank you.